All right, AP Worlders, we're back with part two of this discussion of the Atlantic revolutions. And the French Revolution is going to be different from the American Revolution because the American Revolution expressed the tension of the colonial relationship. All right, so being a colony and having a distant imperial power, where the French insurrection or revolution was driven by conflicts within the French society. All right, members of the titled nobility are going to want some of these rights that they were denied under absolutism. And the Enlightenment ideas that are going to penetrate into French society is going to give them a voice to articulate what their grievances were, what they were upset about. And it's mostly going to be the people of that third estate. So this political cartoon, this is the third estate. All right, these are the first two estates, and it's really trying to say like the third estate was basically carrying the first two estates. They were doing all the work, right? The farming, the taxes, and things like that. And the first two estates were just living nicely. All right, the French Revolution is also going to be much more violent than the American Revolution. The American Revolution, you might remember, they had some people being like tarred and feathered, or tax collectors' house being burned down. But that terror was nothing compared to what's going to happen during the French Revolution. You're going to get crowds that are going to organize and cause insurrections in the French Revolution. Peasants are going to attack the residence of lords, right, burning their documents. Slavery is going to be abolished briefly. Church lands are going to be sold to raise revenue. All right, and this violence is going to be highlighted when King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, are going to be executed. Here's a painting showing King Louis XVI being executed, right? He's being guillotined. This machine, the guillotine, was invented during this time, which was supposed to be a little bit of a more humane way to kill somebody, right? But you see French Louis XVI's head there. And after this execution, it's going to cause even more violence because it's going to be an era of what's known as the Reign of Terror. All right, and this is going to be led by Maximilien Robespierre. All right, so he's a name you should make sure you know. And he spelled his last name Robespierre. All right, first name is Max a million. And tens of thousands of people who are going to be seen as enemies of the revolution are going to lose their lives from the guillotine. All right, and shortly thereafter, people are going to realize that Robespierre was trying to be a tyrant and a dictator himself, and he's going to be arrested and guillotined. All right. Also, unlike the Americans who were trying to restore or build on earlier freedoms, the French revolutionaries are going to be fighting for the freedoms that they felt like they didn't have before. In terms of gender roles, the French Revolution did not create a new society, but it raised the question of female political equality. And they did it more explicitly than the American Revolution had done. So the Americans didn't really address the women at all. All right, you might remember some of the famous letters of from who was it? Thomas. I think it was Thomas Jefferson's wife, where she was writing letters saying, "Don't forget the women." All right, because the American Revolution didn't take them into account. All right, but the French, they did try to give the women a little bit more rights after the revolution. And it's partly because the French women were active in a lot of the major events of the revolution. All right, they took part in the famous storming of the Bastille, where they broke into a prison in an armory and stole weapons at the beginning of the revolution. All right, and so the women did have a little bit more involvement. Napoleon Bonaparte is going to put an end to the French Revolution. He's going to seize power in 1799. And he's going to preserve many of the major, or the more, I'm sorry, moderate elements, such as more civil equality, a secular law code, right? So separating church and state, religious freedom, and promotion by merit. All right. Napoleon, though, was intent on spreading a lot of these benefits to neighboring countries. And he's going to have a bunch of military campaigns where his forces are going to take over a lot of the European empire. And it's going to create actually the largest continental empire since the days of the Romans there in Europe. But his national resistance, particularly from Russia and Britain, are going to end up bringing down Napoleon and his amazing empire in 1815. And it's going to mark the end to the French Revolution when he was put down. And one of the big mistakes that Napoleon's going to make is attacking Russia during the winter when it's cold. All right, now we're going to move on to the Haitian Revolution. All right, the French Revolution is going to echo more loudly in the French Caribbean, the colony of Santo Domingo, which is later going to be named Haiti. And it was widely regarded as the richest colony in the world at the time. All right, they had 8,000 plantations, and they produced almost 40% of the world's sugar, and perhaps half of the world's coffee. And they had a huge slave labor force. The slaves outnumbered the whites, 500,000 slaves to about 40,000 whites. And this social group is going to lead this revolution, this slave rebellion. All right. And so, since this area, this Haiti, was owned by France, right, a lot of those ideas, hearing of the French Revolution, is going to spread to those people. Ideas and example of the French Revolution are going to set these in motion. All right. So, the principles of the revolution meant different things to different people. All right. So, the first group, the Grand Blancs, who were the rich white owners, they wanted greater autonomy for their colony and fewer economic restrictions on trade. So they didn't want to have to listen to France with the trade. And they didn't want the demands of the Petit Blancs, who were the poor whites. All right, so the Petit Blancs, the poor whites, they wanted equality of citizenship for all the whites there. All right, but both groups didn't want the free people of color to want equal treatment. All right, they didn't want the free blacks there or the slaves to try to get the equal rights. The slaves, the French Revolution was a personal freedom for them. All right, and the whole slave system, and it's going to lead to a massive revolt in 1791, triggered by rumors that the French king had already declared an end to slavery. Slaves would burn thousands of plantations and kill hundreds of whites as well as mixed race people. The warring factions of the slaves, whites, and free people would battle on. And the power gravitated towards the slaves. And this guy here, Toussaint Louverture, he's going to lead the revolution. And in the only completely successful slave revolution in world history, the slaves are going to win and they're going to become independent. All right. Politically, they overthrew the French colonial rule, creating a second independent republic in the Americas, and the first non-European state in the West. All right. But in January, Jean Jacques Dessalines, who's going to be the new country leader and first head of state, he's going to declare them free. And they're going to be both private and state lands are going to be redistributed among the former slaves and free blacks. And Haiti is going to become a nation of small farmers. But the destructiveness of the Haiti Revolution, its bitter internal division of race and class, and continuing external opposition contributed much to Haiti's poverty, as well as to the authoritarian and unstable politics that they had. And they're going to get a huge, enormous debt. And that financial burden will endure for well over a century. Freedom in Haiti came to mean primarily the end of slavery, but not the freedom of political rights for people. Right? Not long before slave owners in the Caribbean in North America are going to see this, they're going to become even harsher to their slaves because those areas are going to be scared that the slaves are going to try uprising just like the Haitians did. All right. So the Cuban planters, for instance, they're going to be even harder on their slaves, but they're also going to make more money because now they're going to increase their sugar production. All right, Napoleon's defeat in Haiti was going to persuade him to sell the United States the Louisiana Purchase, and that's going to end the French territory there, and it's going to help the United States out, obviously getting the Louisiana Purchase and all the land, not all the land, but a lot of the land west of the Mississippi, which will lead to like Lewis and Clark, if you remember them. All right. Actually, this is longer than what I thought because now we're going to have a third recording. All right. So hold on for the third one.